We got rent, machine tools, polish, steel, electrical, labor cost, the machine cost. 104% tariff is not enough. Not if you want to revitalize American manufacturing, that is. My name's RT, this is American Dreamers, and I run Vortic Watch Company in Fort Collins, Colorado. I've been making wristwatches in America for 10 years, and today I'm going to tell you exactly what it costs to make something in the USA, and compare that with what it costs to make something in China, even with 104% tariff. Today we're just talking about one part. It's the case, the main body of the watch. This is made right here in Fort Collins, Colorado, for the American Field Watch, which is part of Colorado Watch Company. That's one of our Vortic brands. But again, we're just talking about one part, one machine, one American job in one building here in Colorado. I'm going to show you the real cost side by side of what it costs to make it here versus there. I know it's risky, but I'm going to leave the comments open. I want you guys to let me know, what did I miss? What else am I not seeing? Let me know what your thoughts are on all of these costs, all of these things. And I want to know, if it was your money, what would you do? Before I dive in, I want to mention my friend Mark, who is from Long Island Watch. He inspired this video. Thank you, Mark. We've had a few conversations about this. If you want to see how this impacts people that are importing parts and not making them in America, go watch this video. Just search Long Island Watch, what just happened. He literally shows you exactly, like I'm about to do, what it costs from his perspective. So check that out, and shout out to Mark. All right, it's here on my screen. Let's dive in. So again, we're talking about Colorado Watch Company. This is a Vortic brand. The American Field Watch here is the most American watch at scale today. If you scroll down on any of our pages, you can see where all the parts and pieces are made. So check this out. Today, we're talking about the main case body right there. That is made in Colorado, right here in this building. Now, let's dive in and let's do some math. So this is what it costs to make 200 cases a month per machine on our machines here in Fort Collins. Let's start with the material. Right now, it's about $5 for steel. It's 316 stainless steel for fellow engineers and machinists watching this video. But it's 316 stainless, and it's cost about $5 per case just to get the material. And that's before we do any work. Then you have the machine cost. And what that looks like is we use a Tsugami mill turn. And we have another video, I think it's the most recent video here on the American Dreamers YouTube channel. But that machine cost me about $500,000. I think it was $480,000 with everything. And that's $7,000 a month if financed with 7% interest for 7 years. And that's about what we did. So that's how much it costs, $7,000 divided by 200 cases per month, which is generous. I'm gonna get to this. That 200 cases, that's a lot, but that's $35 a case just for the machine to do the work. And again, this is just one case, one part, one machine, and 1 month, right? Then you have electrical. My electric bill for this building is about 8,000 square feet. It's about $2,000 a month. Let's call that's a big machine. So let's assume that's about 10% of my total power draw for that machine. It's only about $1 for the electrical cost, but we got to factor that in, right? Then we have the labor cost. Let's assume for a second, and this is tough, but let's assume I can find someone to work for $25 an hour, 40 hours a week. Let's say this machine is about 20% of their time, because we have lots of other machines. So they're doing other things while they're here. And then you have to take, every dollar you spend on a person, at least here in the state of Colorado, and in America, it's roughly 10%. If you're a CPA and you're watching this and I'm way off, please comment, let me know. But I always add at least 10% for payroll tax fees, all the other stuff that I have to pay as an employer to employ that person. Anyway, when you do that math and you divide it by 200 cases on that machine per month, it's about $4.40 per case or per part that's coming off the machine just for labor. When you do that math and you add this up, that is $45.40 per case at 200 cases per machine per month. Now, right now, I'm gonna be really transparent with you. Right now, we don't trust this machine yet. It's brand new. First of all, even when you spend that much money on something, you have to learn how to use it. You have to pay an expert way more than $25 an hour to learn how to use it and figure that out. So right now we're probably averaging closer to 100 cases per month. which obviously destroys this math and makes it $85, $86 per case. Let's compare that to made in China. I sent the case file, the engineering print for this over to China, over to one of my friends. And I said, hey, if I got this, what's the minimum order quantity? He said 500. How much does it cost? $15 per case without the tariff. 104% tariff, we're at $30.60 for that $15 case landed in the United States. Now we still have that gap. I mean, it's 150% more, again, even at 200 cases per month. And, we can play with this number all day. Let's say maybe we can get to 150 cases a month and it's only 200% more. Now, before I get to the bottom line and I ask you my question, let's realize that I forgot some stuff here. So we got rent or your space, right? I own this building, so I pay a mortgage on this building. How much does that add, right? That's part of overhead. We also have machine tools. So what was the cost of the tools, like the little drill bits, if you don't have a manufacturing center and you see what that is, how much do the tools cost that we use to make this, right? And then the other thing that I forgot is polishing, right? So if I order this case from China for $15 and I get 500 of them, they're going to show up at my doorstep in a box in little plastic baggies ready to go, and they're going to be fully polished. We don't polish. We use a barrel tumbling process, basically a stone wash for our cases here, because labor is, right here. And it just doesn't make sense to do that polishing. And no one at this point polishes cases or other materials for watches in the United States at scale. And so I didn't factor it in, but that's another thing that would add to this number, making these numbers all significantly worse. Now, again, before I show the bottom line, I want to show some solutions. So like I said, tariff isn't enough, but you're assuming that the tariff is to revitalize American manufacturing. If you want to revitalize American manufacturing, these are the things you need to look at. First idea, let's reduce or remove interest rates. If that interest rate was 3% like it used to be, and the 7-year term was, say, 10 years, now that's $4,500 a month. That's almost, a little more than half what I'm paying right now, just by pulling two different levers, right? Let's work with a bigger bank. Let's access a different level of financing. Let's reduce interest rates. So 1, help us out with interest rates. 2, payroll taxes. Check this out. If I have to add 10% for every employee that I add, that means for every 10 employees I add to my business, I could add an 11th if I didn't have that tax. So help me hire more people and create American jobs by reducing or removing payroll taxes for American manufacturing. 3rd, grants and subsidies. I'll link it below, but there's an awesome program in the state of Colorado called OEDIT, and it's for advanced manufacturing. Basically, if you're making something here in Colorado that's not normally made in Colorado, which you could do for, the federal level, a federal grant. If you're making something here in America that's not normally made in America, you get a grant, you get a subsidy, you get some of this benefit. It's a great thing. It's awesome. We've participated. A lot of people don't even know that exists, but you can do more of that. If you truly want to help me as an American manufacturer, do more of that. Another thing you can do, and another thing we need to talk about, this is my last thing, is I'm not going to make these parts here unless I can also assemble the product here, unless I can build it here. And you have to start there. So I already have that set up between myself here in Colorado and my friend Kunal, who runs FTS Manufacturing down in Arizona. We have the ability to assemble watches here in America. What would be interesting if we're keeping the tariffs, let's assume the tariffs stay, maybe there's a carve out for people that are actually assembling products in America. And maybe the tariff is either reduced or removed as long as that raw material and that good is going to require American labor to finish here in the United States. This is something that other people do. I think it's interesting. I think it's worth talking about. So those are my 4 things. Those are the other things I would do if, I had a magic wand. Those are the ways I would help me and us as American manufacturing companies. So let's look at one more number and I'll ask my question. If you do this math for one machine, one person, one building, one part, $7,000 a month for the machine. Let's call it $5,000 a month for a full-time employee, $2,000 a month that I have to pay for, utilities and electric and all that kind of stuff. And then the materials and all that, right? So would you spend $15,000 a month on all of that overhead? Personally guarantee it, right? I'm signing a document that says if I don't pay off that $480,000 loan, they're going to come after me and they're going to either take my machine Take my building or take my house? Would you sign that personal guarantee? Regardless of the sales or success of the company, I've signed up for $15,000 a month worth of overhead just to make this one part in Colorado. Made in USA, that's the cost. But if you compare that to made in China, for 500 cases at $30 a case with a 104% tariff, that's $15,000 and change. That's one time, one check, one email to somebody over in China, and a box shows up at my door that lasts me 2 or 3 months at, 200 cases a month. Tariffs paid in full. And I don't stress about it at all. And I don't have any monthly ongoing cost. That's the choice. If it was your $15,000, what would you do? Tell me in the comments. I want to know. Look for my future videos. Please subscribe to this channel because I'm going to go to China and I'm going to show you what they do. I'm going to show you all of the other American watch companies so you can buy American. This is Colorado Watch Company. That's what we talked about today. But check that out. If it was your $15,000, what would you do? It's a hard decision. And everybody like me who runs an American manufacturing company, every time we have a new idea for a new product or a new part, we make that decision. And it's tough, especially right now.